A massive stone block weighs more than a modern tank. How did ancient people move it without machinery? This is the central mystery of megalithic structures, and it challenges everything we think we know about history and engineering. We are exploring 20 unexplained megalithic marvels from across the world. By the end, you will see human history in a completely new light. We will investigate stones cut with laser-like precision and monoliths transported across impossible distances. What hidden knowledge allowed these civilizations to build what seems impossible? What does it truly mean to look at a monument that defies all logic? Sunlight first touches the Great Pyramid, setting its colossal limestone blocks ablaze with a golden glow. This monument, constructed for Pharaoh Khufu over 4,500 years ago, is a mountain of stone built with a precision that defies belief. It is composed of an estimated 2.3 million individual blocks. Imagine the weight of just one of the largest of these stones, a staggering 80 tons, heavier than a full-grown blue whale. How did a society without the wheel or iron tools quarry, move, and hoist these behemoths into place? The logistics alone are mind-boggling, but the mystery deepens with the pyramid's breathtaking accuracy. Its base is almost a perfect square, and its four sides are aligned to the four cardinal directions with an error of less than 1/15th of a single degree. Modern engineers equipped with satellite global positioning systems would find this a monumental challenge. How did the ancient Egyptians achieve such perfection? Theories have swirled for centuries. Some propose enormous ramps snaking for miles up which workers drag the stones. Others suggest intricate systems of levers and water channels. Then there are more speculative ideas, like the use of lost sonic technologies to levitate the blocks into place. The pyramid's very dimensions seem to encode mathematical constants and astronomical knowledge that should have been impossible for its time. This is not merely a tomb, it is a riddle carved in stone, a silent testament to a forgotten understanding of our world. And as we leave the sands of Egypt, the mystery does not fade. It simply finds a new home on a different continent. Across the English Channel, on the windswept Salisbury plain, another ancient riddle stands against the sky. The familiar ring of Stonehenge is far more than a circle of stones. It is a monumental puzzle constructed over centuries, beginning around 5,000 years ago. The largest of its sarsen stones are colossal, each weighing up to 25 tons, the equivalent of 5 adult elephants. Somehow, Neolithic people moved these giants from quarries over 20 miles away. But the true distance defies belief. The smaller blue stones were not local at all. They were dragged, carried, or sailed from the Preseli Hills in Wales, a journey of over 150 miles across rugged hills and powerful rivers. How could a prehistoric society without wheels or domesticated animals powerful enough for such loads accomplish this feat? The methods remain one of history's greatest logistical mysteries. Was it an army of people rolling the stones on logs, or did they use a clever system of sledges and greased tracks? The construction itself reveals a shocking level of sophistication. Look at the massive horizontal lintel stones perched perfectly atop the uprights. They are not simply balanced, they are locked in place with complex joints, a technique borrowed from woodworking. The builders carved ball-shaped knobs called tenons on the top of the standing stones and matching hollows or mortises on the underside of the lintels. This created a stable, interlocking frame that has endured for millennia. So what was the purpose of this immense effort? Was it a celestial calendar, its stones aligned with the solstice sun and moon? A sacred healing site powered by the distant blue stones, or a grand ceremonial center for the dead? the stones keep their secrets, a silent testament to a lost engineering genius. This mastery over stone, however, reaches an even more incredible level of precision in a distant mountain range. High in the Andes, the stones of Sacsayhuaman defy simple explanation. This fortress, built by the Inca civilization around the 15th century, looms over the ancient city of Cusco. Its walls are a breathtaking mosaic of colossal limestone blocks, some weighing more than 120 tons. But the sheer mass of the stones is only half the story. The other half is a precision so absolute it seems impossible. Each block is a unique polygon, shaped with multiple sides and angles to interlock perfectly with its neighbors. The fit is so seamless that for centuries people have said you cannot slide a single piece of paper or even a razor blade between them. No mortar was used, none was needed. This technique, known as ashlar masonry, created walls of incredible strength. When the powerful earthquakes common to this region shake the land, these interlocking stones dance and settle without collapsing, a feat of engineering that modern construction often struggles to match. So how was it done? How did a culture without iron tools or the wheel carve and move these gigantic stones up steep mountain terrain? The quarries were miles away. Some theories propose they used harder stone tools to patiently pound and shape the limestone over countless hours. Others speculate about the use of a mysterious plant sap, a substance said to have softened the stone, allowing the Inca to mold it like clay. Yet no definitive evidence for such a process has ever been found. The walls of Sacsayhuaman stand as a silent, enduring testament to a lost engineering art, a puzzle of polygonal perfection. This mastery of balance and weight finds an even more dramatic expression in a structure where the stones appear to float. Far from the precision of the Andes, another ancient site presents a challenge of pure, raw scale. In the Bekaa Valley of Lebanon, the ruins of the Roman Temple of Jupiter hold a secret in their very foundation. Known as the Trilithon, this is a platform of 3 colossal limestone blocks, each one a true monster of stone estimated to weigh a staggering 800 tons. To put that into perspective, that is heavier than 2 fully loaded jumbo jets. These are not just big stones, they are among the largest pieces of stone ever moved by human hands in the ancient world. And the mystery only deepens when you trace their origin. The quarry where these behemoths were cut lies nearly half a mile away from the temple site. Even more astonishing is the block they left behind, still sitting in that quarry, known as the Stone of the Pregnant Woman. This single piece of stone weighs an almost unbelievable 1,000 tons. It is a stark, silent question carved from the earth itself. How could Roman engineers, even with their advanced technology, possibly have moved such weight? The standard explanations of wooden rollers and cranes seem to buckle under the sheer mass. The friction alone would have been immense, requiring the coordinated effort of thousands of people on ropes, a logistical nightmare with little room for error. Some researchers have proposed the use of complex Roman cranes, but the scale of these blocks would have tested the limits of even the most advanced wooden machinery. This leads to more speculative ideas, like a lost method for drastically reducing friction, perhaps with a special slurry or even a form of acoustic levitation that has since been forgotten. Why go to such impossible effort? Why use stones of such monumental size when smaller blocks would have been vastly easier to manage? Was it a display of imperial power, a demonstration of complete mastery over the physical world? Or was there a deeper, perhaps sacred reason to build a foundation that felt as permanent and unshakable as the earth itself? The precision with which these titans are placed, forming a seamless base for the grand temple, suggests a knowledge that we are still struggling to comprehend. This global puzzle of megalithic mastery now draws us to one of the most isolated and enigmatic locations on the planet. Isolated in the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean, the stone giants of Easter Island stand in silent vigil. These are the Moai, towering figures carved from the soft rock of the Ronoroku volcano by the Rapa Nui people centuries ago. With their heavy brows and long noses, they seem to possess a solemn knowledge, their backs forever turned to the sea as they gaze over the island. They are not small monuments. The average statue stands 13 feet tall and weighs 14 tons, as much as 2 large elephants, but the scale of ambition here is almost unbelievable. One unfinished Moai, still trapped in the volcanic rock, would have been a true colossus, stretching over 60 feet and weighing an estimated 82 tons. The act of carving such a figure from the volcanic tuff with simple stone tools is a feat of immense patience and skill, yet the true and deeper mystery is how they moved. How did a small, isolated population transport dozens of these multi-ton statues across miles of rugged, hilly terrain to their coastal platforms, known as ahu? Oral histories passed down through generations hold a tantalizing clue. They say the statues walked. This poetic idea was long dismissed as pure myth until modern experiments put it to the test. Researchers using strong ropes and teams of people found that by rocking a replica Moai carefully from side to side, they could indeed make it walk forward in a shuffling motion. This method, while plausible on flat, open ground, becomes a terrifyingly delicate operation over the island's natural obstacles. A single misstep, one rock in the wrong place, and a multi-ton masterpiece could crack and be ruined forever. The logistics of moving so many statues without a single catastrophic failure is an engineering puzzle that continues to baffle historians. Why did the Rapa Nui people commit such a vast portion of their society's energy and resources to this single monumental task? The very act of creation may have contributed to their eventual societal collapse, as forests were cleared for rollers and ropes, and the population focused on the will of the ancestors embodied in stone. The Moai are more than statues. They are a stark and powerful lesson in what human beings are capable of achieving, and the price that can sometimes be paid for such wonders. This idea of interlocking, perfect construction finds a new expression in a place where the stones themselves form a giant, unsolvable puzzle. But the ultimate expression of this stone-cutting mystery may lie in the high-altitude plains of Bolivia. Puma Punku, part of the ancient Tiwanaku complex near Lake Titicaca, is a place where logic seems to break down. This is not a structure of colossal, rough-hewn blocks, but a field of shattered precision. The ruins are a collection of H-shaped blocks crafted from andesite and red sandstone, a material so hard it rates just below diamond on the scale of mineral hardness. Some of these stones weigh over 100 tons, yet their immense weight is not what confounds engineers, it is their impossible geometry. These blocks are not simply stacked, they are intricately engineered with a level of exactness that appears machine-made. The edges are razor-sharp and perfectly straight, the corners are flawless 90-degree angles, and the surfaces are unnervingly smooth. They feature complex interlocking channels, precise notches, and T-shaped slots that look like components from a giant, prehistoric construction kit. How could a culture from around 1500 years ago, using only stone and copper tools, achieve such a finish on such resilient rock? The mystery deepens with the discovery of perfectly cylindrical drill holes in some of the slabs. The holes are uniform, with spiraling grooves inside that suggest a drill bit that moved with consistent, powerful speed and immense pressure. This is a level of machining that should not have existed for another 1,000 years. Then there is the question of transport. The The quarries for this andesite lie over 50 miles away across rugged, mountainous terrain. How did they move these 100-ton puzzles such a vast distance and to an altitude of nearly 13,000 feet? The standard explanations of ramps and ropes feel utterly inadequate here. Was Puma Punku the work of a highly advanced civilization whose tools and techniques have been lost to time? The site feels less like a ruin and more like the scattered pieces of a technology we can no longer comprehend. And as we ponder these shattered pieces of a lost science, our journey descends from this high-altitude puzzle into the depths of the Earth itself, to a site of immense underground mystery. Deep beneath the modern streets of Malta lies a world turned inside out. The Hypogeum of Salisbury is not a structure built upward, but one carved downward into the living limestone, a subterranean labyrinth created over 5,000 years ago. This is not a simple cave. It is a vast, multi-level complex of chambers, halls, and passages spread across 3 distinct floors, all excavated with nothing more than antler picks and stone tools. The sheer volume of rock removed to create this hidden world is staggering, estimated at 2,000 tons, all painstakingly chipped away and hauled to the surface basket by basket. The engineering challenge here was not just about moving massive stones, but about the terrifying physics of emptiness, of carving out spaces underground without causing the entire complex to collapse in on itself. The builders displayed an intuitive, almost supernatural understanding of load-bearing walls and arches. In the deepest chambers, they went even further, carving the ceilings to perfectly mimic the corbelled vaults and Trilithon doorways of the megalithic temples that stood in the sunlight above. It was as if they were recreating their sacred above-ground world in the realm of the dead below. But the greatest mystery of the Hypogeum is not just what you can see, but what you can hear. One small, oval-shaped chamber, known as the Oracle Room, possesses an acoustic property that defies its Neolithic origins. A voice spoken in a specific low tone within this room does not just fill the chamber, it resonates and amplifies, vibrating through the very stone and permeating the entire underground complex. This is not a random echo, it is a carefully engineered resonance, a manipulation of sound waves that would require a sophisticated knowledge of physics and acoustics. How could a people using only stone tools have calculated the precise shape and volume needed to create such an effect? Was this sacred sound a way to communicate messages through the labyrinth? Or was it meant to induce altered states of consciousness during rituals, making the very walls seem to speak? The Hypogeum stands as a profound enigma, a testament to a forgotten understanding of both stone and sound, where the architecture itself becomes a musical instrument. This mastery of sonic energy high above the earth echoes the mysteries buried deep below its surface. The silent, orderly lines of the Carnac stones march across the Breton landscape like a petrified army. In Brittany, France, over 3,000 prehistoric standing stones were erected in parallel rows that stretch for more than 2 miles, created during the Neolithic period around 4,500 BC. This is not a single monument but a vast, coordinated landscape of stone. The scale is almost incomprehensible, with the largest of these menhirs weighing up to 350 tons, a mass comparable to a small blue whale. The sheer number of stones represents a societal effort of staggering proportions, requiring generations of people working with nothing but stone tools, levers, and raw human labor. What could possibly compel an ancient community to commit to such a prolonged and physically exhausting project? The purpose of these grand alignments is one of archaeology's great debates. Some researchers see a giant astronomical calendar, with the rows carefully positioned to mark the rising and setting of the sun and moon for ceremonial or agricultural purposes. Others believe it was a sacred processional path for religious rituals, a place where the boundary between the earthly and the spiritual worlds was thin. The precision of their alignment over such a vast distance points to a highly organized society capable of advanced planning and a shared, powerful vision. This was not a haphazard collection of rocks. It was a deliberate, long-term project that defined a culture for centuries. The driving force behind this immense labor remains locked within the stones, a silent testament to a belief system so powerful it could move mountains one stone at a time. This ancient desire to map the heavens finds a new expression in a place where the stones themselves became a perfect mirror for the stars. The desire to capture a single moment of celestial light reaches its most poetic form in the rolling green hills of Ireland's Boyne Valley. Here, the great mound of Newgrange rises from the earth, a silent, grass-covered dome older than both Stonehenge and the Great Pyramid of Giza. Constructed around 3200 BC by a Stone Age farming community, this passage tomb is a masterwork of engineering and astronomical intent. From the outside, it appears as a large circular mound, its facade once glittering with a covering of white quartzite stone, a beacon of brilliant white in the ancient landscape. A single, narrow stone passageway leads deep into the heart of the mound, ending in a central chamber with 3 side recesses. The construction itself is a feat of immense labor, involving the movement of 200,000 tons of stone and earth, with massive curbstones encircling the base to hold the entire structure in place. The inner chambers are built using a technique called corbelling, where each layer of flat stones is placed slightly inward until the walls meet at the top, forming a stable, waterproof vault that has stood for over 5,000 years. But the true genius of Newgrange is not just in its endurance. It is in a single, deliberate slit in the stone, known as the roof box. This is not a crack or an accident. It is a meticulously engineered aperture positioned directly above the main entrance. For just 5 days around the winter solstice, as the sun reaches its lowest point in the sky, a miraculous event occurs. The first rays of the rising sun pass directly through this roof box, creep slowly down the 60-foot stone passageway, and for approximately 17 minutes, flood the inner chamber with a golden, direct beam of light. This was not a happy coincidence. It required a profound understanding of the solar cycle, an ability to precisely align a massive stone structure to a specific point on the horizon, and the architectural skill to execute that vision over multiple generations. How did a society of farmers without written language or metal tools possess such sophisticated knowledge of astronomy and engineering? The intricate spiral and diamond carvings that cover many of the interior stones only deepen the mystery, suggesting a complex symbolic language tied to the cycles of life, death, and rebirth. Newgrange is far more than a tomb. It is a stone clock, a cathedral designed for one perfect moment of light each year, a testament to a prehistoric people who looked to the heavens and built their answer on the earth. This ancient obsession with the stars was a global phenomenon, as we see when our journey takes us to another continent, where an entire city was built as a reflection of the cosmos. High on the Bolivian Altiplano, where the air is thin and the sky feels immense, stands a single block of stone that holds the secrets of a lost calendar. The Sun Gate of Tiwanaku is a monolithic archway carved from a single piece of andesite weighing an estimated 10 tons. This is not the shattered puzzle of Puma Punku nearby, but a complete, intricately inscribed monument, believed to have been created around the year 500 AD. The stone itself is a marvel of transport, quarried from a site many miles away, and somehow brought to this dizzying altitude of over 12,000 feet. Moving a stone of this size in such a harsh, oxygen-poor environment would have been a monumental physical challenge for the builders, requiring immense planning and coordination. But the true mystery is etched across its surface. The entire front of the gateway is covered in a complex tapestry of carved figures, often interpreted as a celestial calendar. At the center is a figure thought to represent a powerful creator deity, from which rays of light stream outward, each one ending in a human face or a condor's head. The precision of this iconography is what truly baffles experts. The lines are perfectly straight, the symbols crisp and uniform, as if drawn with a ruler and carved with a tool far more advanced than the simple copper chisels the Tiwanaku people are known to have used. How did they achieve such clean, deep etchings in this incredibly hard stone without iron or steel? Some researchers believe the carvings are more than just art. They are a sophisticated cosmological map, encoding a complex calendar system that tracked solar and lunar cycles with remarkable accuracy. The central deity might represent the sun itself, with the surrounding figures marking specific dates, solstices, or even a longer cosmic cycle. What message were the builders trying to send across the centuries? Was this a portal to the heavens, a way to mark sacred time, or a public record of their understanding of the universe? The Sun Gate stands in silent testimony to a society that not only mastered the physical challenge of moving mountains, but also the intellectual challenge of mapping the sky onto stone. This profound connection between stone and water finds its ultimate expression in a place where an entire civilization moved mountains to an island. Beneath the clear, blue waters off the coast of Japan lies a mystery that challenges the very timeline of human civilization. The Yonaguni Monument is a massive underwater rock formation, a sprawling complex of terraces, walls, and startlingly perfect right angles that many believe resembles a stepped pyramid. Since its discovery in 1986, it has been at the center of a fierce scientific debate. Is this a purely natural formation, sculpted over millennia by powerful ocean currents and seismic activity? Or are we looking at the sunken ruins of a man-made megalithic site, built over 10,000 years ago when this area was above sea level? The sheer scale of the structure is overwhelming. It rises from the seafloor to within 16 feet of the surface, a monolith of sandstone that features flat, vertical faces and what appear to be perfectly carved staircases with sharp, 90-degree steps. These are not the rounded, worn shapes typically created by nature. They are precise geometric forms that seem to demand a designer. If this was indeed a human creation, the implications are staggering. It would mean that a sophisticated culture capable of quarrying and moving massive stone blocks existed at the end of the last ice age. This was a time when, according to mainstream archaeology, humans were simple hunter-gatherers. The engineering required to build such a structure, especially if it was later submerged by rising seas, is almost unimaginable for that era. How would they have carved and positioned these stones, and for what purpose? Was it a ceremonial center, a fortress, or perhaps a navigational marker for a seafaring people whose history is now entirely lost to the waves? The debate continues because nature can, under rare circumstances, create fractured plains that look artificial. Yet the sheer concentration of so many seemingly architectural features in one place pushes the limits of that explanation. The Yonaguni Monument forces us to ask a profound question. Are we seeing what we want to see in the rocks, or are we seeing the ghost of a civilization that history has forgotten? This same question of human artistry versus natural forces arises again, but this time with stones shaped with such finesse they feel impossibly modern. Deep beneath the sands of Abydos, a structure defies the known timeline of Egyptian architecture. The Osirian, lying in the shadow of the Grand Temple of Seti I, is a subterranean puzzle built from colossal blocks of red granite. Each of these stones is a titan, with some weighing as much as 100 tons. Their sheer mass is staggering, but the true mystery lies in their placement. This entire complex was constructed at the bottom of a deep, man-made pit, a feat that would be a monumental challenge even with modern cranes and machinery. How did ancient builders lower these gargantuan blocks into a hole and position them with such exactitude, all while working in a cramped, underground space? The design itself is a profound anachronism. Its stark, megalithic style, featuring enormous, simple blocks, looks nothing like the finely carved and decorated temples of its supposed era. Instead, it bears a striking and unsettling resemblance to the far older Valley Temple of Copper at Giza, a structure thousands of years its senior. This has led some researchers to propose a radical idea that the Osirian is not a new kingdom creation at all, but a relic from a much more ancient and far more advanced period of Egyptian history, simply rediscovered and venerated by Seti I. The precision of the stone cutting here is equal to that of the Great Pyramid, with joints so tight they speak of a lost method for working incredibly hard stone. Why use such indestructible materials and such a robust, timeless design for a building hidden completely from view? The answer may lie in the water that slowly fills its central hall. The structure was intentionally built below the water table, with channels and islands that suggest it was designed to be perpetually flooded. This was not a practical reservoir, but a symbolic one. Egyptologists believe it was a representation of the primordial mound, the Benben, rising from the chaotic waters of Nun, the nothingness from which all creation sprang. It was a stone model of the very moment of Genesis, built to last for eternity. The Osirian forces us to question not just how the ancient Egyptians built, but how far back their deepest knowledge truly goes. This theme of a lost foundational civilization echoes across the ocean, in a place where the stones themselves seem to hold a forgotten frequency. Still locked in the bedrock of an Aswan quarry, the Unfinished Obelisk is a monument to ambition frozen in time. This colossal shaft of red granite, if completed, would have soared to a height of 137 feet and weighed an almost unimaginable 1,200 tons. It is a single piece of stone intended to be the largest obelisk ever raised, a project so vast it pushes the limits of engineering even in our modern era. The evidence of the methods used is still visible today. Workers carved deep channels directly into the solid granite, painstakingly chiseling out a trench around the intended obelisk. Then they would have driven wooden wedges into these channels. The real ingenuity came next as they soaked these wedges with water. The wood would expand with tremendous, relentless force, creating fractures that separated the obelisk from the bedrock. It was a slow, deliberate process of pitting the properties of one material against another. Yet, this very process led to the project's dramatic failure. A critical, unforeseen crack appeared in the stone, a fatal flaw that meant all this immense labor was for nothing. The obelisk was abandoned, forever bound to the earth from which it was born. Its very presence raises a profound question. If carving it was this difficult, how did the Egyptians plan to complete the task? Extracting this 1,200-ton needle from its quarry would have been a feat of unprecedented logistics. Then they would have had to transport it down the Nile on a barge, a vessel that would have been an engineering marvel in itself. Finally, they faced the most dangerous challenge of all, raising this stone giant to stand perfectly vertical on its tiny base, a procedure where a single mistake would mean total disaster. The Unfinished Obelisk is not a ruin, it is a blueprint for an impossible task, a permanent testament to the staggering confidence of ancient engineers. This same spirit of colossal ambition was alive across the ocean, where another civilization carved its legacy directly into the face of a mountain. The fortress of Ollantaytambo clings to the steep slopes of Peru's Sacred Valley, a breathtaking complex of terraces and temples built with stones that seem to defy gravity itself. Here, the Inca civilization faced a logistical nightmare, constructing with colossal blocks of red granite, some weighing as much as 50 tons. The quarries for this stone were not nearby. They lay on a mountain across the valley, separated by the powerful, rushing waters of the Urubamba River. The Incas engineered a solution, building a sophisticated network of ramps and roads to drag these titans down one slope, across the river, and up the opposing mountain. But the final, most baffling step remains. How did they lift these 50-ton stones onto the high terraces and slot them into place with such exactitude? The walls themselves hold clues. Look closely, and you will see stones with strange, knob-like protrusions and matching indentations. These were not decorative, they were almost certainly functional, serving as anchor points for ropes or levers, giving workers the critical leverage needed to nudge these giants into their final, perfect positions. The result of this painstaking effort is a masonry masterpiece. The stones interlock like a three-dimensional puzzle, fitted together without a speck of mortar. This polygonal design gives the walls an incredible flexibility, allowing them to sway and settle during the violent earthquakes that shake the Andes, rather than cracking and collapsing. This was architecture designed to endure forever. The strategic placement of the entire fortress, commanding the valley from its high perch, speaks to a society capable of grand strategy and complex organization. How did they coordinate the thousands of workers, the precise timing, the sheer willpower required to move mountains one stone at a time? To find an answer, we must look to a site where the stones are not just large, but truly unimaginable in scale. While empires rose and fell, one man in 20th century Florida worked alone to build his own private kingdom of stone. The Coral Castle stands as a modern megalithic mystery, a sprawling complex of massive coral blocks constructed single-handedly by a reclusive Latvian immigrant named Edward Līdzkalnis. From 1923 to 1951, working almost exclusively at night, he quarried, carved, and positioned over 1,100 tons of oolite limestone, creating a surreal landscape of towering obelisks, massive rocking chairs, and a functioning stone crescent moon that accurately tracked the seasons. The sheer scale of his work defies belief, with individual blocks weighing up to 30 tons. How could one man, just 5 feet tall and weighing barely 100 pounds, accomplish what should have required a team of engineers with heavy machinery? Līdzkalnis was famously secretive, claiming he had rediscovered the building secrets of the ancient Egyptians, the very same knowledge used to erect the pyramids. He would only say that he understood the laws of weight and leverage, but he never revealed his actual methods. Witnesses reported seeing him work, but they described nothing more than a man placing his hands on the massive stones, sometimes with an old car part wrapped in cloth. The precision of the stone cutting is another marvel. He created a 9-ton gate carved from a single piece of coral rock that was so perfectly balanced on a simple metal rod that it could be opened with the push of a single finger. For decades, that gate swung effortlessly, a feat of engineering that baffled experts until it eventually seized up in the 1980s. When a team of engineers was finally called in to fix it, they worked for days with modern tools and a 20-ton crane, only to discover the perfect, nearly invisible pinpoint of balance that Līdzkalnis had found and exploited. This has led to endless speculation. Did he somehow rediscover an ancient form of anti-gravity, using magnetic levitation to neutralize the weight of the stone? Or did he possess a profound, almost supernatural understanding of harmonic frequencies and the Earth's magnetic fields, allowing him to make the stones somehow lighter. The coral castle remains a powerful, tangible puzzle, a monument that proves the megalithic mystery did not end with the ancients, but continued into the modern era, locked in the mind of one enigmatic man. This same connection to cosmic forces is carved into the very bedrock of another ancient site, where the stones themselves are aligned with the heavens. On the sun-scorched island of Malta, the Mnajdra temples rise from the cliffside like a stone calendar older than time itself. Constructed over 1,000 years, beginning around 3600 BC, this complex is a masterpiece of megalithic architecture and celestial observation. The builders used massive slabs of coralline limestone, each weighing many tons, to create a series of interconnecting chambers and altars. But the true genius of Mnajdra is not just in its construction, but in its alignment with the cosmos. The South Temple is a precise astronomical instrument carved from stone. On the spring and autumn equinoxes, the first rays of the rising sun pass directly through the main doorway, casting a beam of light that travels along the central corridor to illuminate the main altar deep within the sanctuary. This alignment is perfect. Then, during the solstices, the sunlight enters through different, specially placed apertures, marking the longest and shortest days of the year with the same unerring accuracy. How did a culture with only stone tools and no written language achieve such a feat of engineering and astronomy? They had to quarry these colossal blocks, transport them across the rugged landscape, and then erect them with a precision that required an intimate, generational knowledge of the sun's subtle dance across the sky. The temples are further inscribed with spirals and patterns, and dotted with carefully drilled holes that may have served as simple, yet effective, sighting devices for tracking stars and planets. This was not a random collection of rocks, it was a sophisticated observatory. The knowledge required to build Mnajdra implies centuries of meticulous observation, a tradition of watching the heavens so deeply ingrained that it could be encoded into the very foundation of their society. This profound connection to the stars forces us to reconsider the intellectual capacity of our ancient ancestors. They were not primitive, they were pioneers of cosmic science, building in stone what they understood in their minds. A similar, yet even more perplexing, mystery awaits in a place where the stones seem to defy the very flow of time. The ruins of Göbekli Tepe in Turkey shatter our most fundamental ideas about human history. This site is not just old, it is staggeringly ancient, built around 9600 BC by a society of hunter-gatherers. That means it predates Stonehenge by a full 6,000 years and the Great Pyramid by an almost unimaginable 7,000 years. Here, on a barren hilltop, are multiple circular enclosures defined by massive, T-shaped limestone pillars. Each ring contains two central pillars that tower over the others, with the largest stones weighing up to 20 tons. These are not crude, unadorned blocks. They are masterfully carved with a menagerie of ancient animals, from snarling foxes and charging boars to elegant cranes and slithering snakes, all rendered with an artistic skill that feels out of place in the so-called Stone Age. This single site forces a complete rewrite of history. For decades, we believed that agriculture came first, that it was the surplus of farming that allowed humans the free time and social organization to build grand monuments. Göbekli Tepe turns that logic on its head. This was built by people who lived by hunting and gathering, a nomadic lifestyle that should have left no time for such a vast, coordinated project. How did they quarry these 20-ton pillars without metal tools? How did they transport them from the local quarry, a task requiring the coordinated labor of hundreds, without the wheel or domesticated animals? The organization needed for this project implies a complex social structure, a shared belief so powerful it could bind different bands of people together for a common, monumental goal. The purpose of these mysterious rings remains hidden, though the dominant theory suggests a ritual center, the world's first temple. But what prompted this unprecedented effort? What vision or belief was so urgent that it compelled nomadic people to build in stone on a scale never before attempted, setting in motion the very cultural changes that would eventually lead to agriculture and civilization as we know it? After its use, the entire site was deliberately and carefully buried around 8000 BC, sealed under a small mountain of earth, as if its creators wanted to preserve it for a future they would never see. This deliberate act of interment is a final, profound mystery, a silent message from a world we are only just beginning to understand. The scale of human ambition reaches its absolute zenith at the Colossal temple in India. Here, in the 8th century AD, an entire mountain was turned inside out to create a monument of impossible grandeur. This is not a structure built from individual blocks, but a single, colossal piece of architecture carved downward from the top of a basalt cliff. The numbers alone defy belief. To create the Colossal temple, workers did not assemble, they removed. They excavated an estimated 200,000 tons of solid rock, the equivalent of scooping out an entire mountain from the summit down. Imagine the process known as vertical excavation. The architects and sculptors had to begin with the temple's highest point, its central spire, and then carve their way down, floor by floor, courtyard by courtyard, all while visualizing the final, perfect form hidden within the rock. One wrong strike, one miscalculation in the angle of a cut, and the entire project could have been ruined, with pillars collapsing or walls crumbling before they were even fully formed. This was a high-stakes sculpture on a truly epic scale. The result is a breathtaking complex that includes a main shrine dedicated to the god Shiva, multi-story galleries, elaborate elephant sculptures that seem to emerge from the living stone, and freestanding pillars so finely detailed they look as if they were assembled, not excavated. The level of detail is staggering, with countless figures from Hindu mythology adorning every surface, all carved with a precision that would be challenging even with modern power tools. How did the planners, without detailed blueprints or computer models, maintain perfect proportions and structural integrity throughout this decades-long, perhaps century-long process? The traditional story attributes the temple to a single king's devotion, but the sheer engineering genius required suggests a lineage of master architects whose understanding of rock, stress, and geometry was nothing short of miraculous. This method of carving not up but down finds another astonishing expression in a city of cliffs. Deep beneath the quiet Chinese village of Longyu, a secret world lay hidden for centuries until a simple act of curiosity brought it to light. In 1992, a local farmer decided to pump the water out of what he thought was a small pond. After 17 days and nights of pumping, he did not find a pond bottom, but the entrance to a colossal hand-carved cavern. This was the first of many, a sprawling underground complex of 24 gigantic caves covering an area of over 30,000 square meters. Each cavern is a breathtaking artificial grotto, a vast space supported by massive pillars with rooms, staircases, and even carefully carved pools, all meticulously excavated from the solid siltstone. The walls and ceilings are covered in a uniform pattern of chisel marks, a consistent, parallel line pattern that was clearly made by human hands, yet executed with a mechanical-looking precision that blankets every surface. The sheer scale of the undertaking is almost beyond comprehension. To create this subterranean empire, ancient workers removed an estimated 900,000 cubic meters of rock. That is a volume of stone that would fill over 300 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Where did all this rock go? There are no massive spoil heaps in the surrounding countryside, no trace of the millions of tons of rubble that had to be disposed of, as if the very earth swallowed the evidence of its own excavation. The engineering foresight is just as baffling. The pillars are strategically placed to support the immense weight above. The angles of the walls are calculated to distribute stress, and the slopes of the ceilings are designed to prevent collapse. This is not simple digging. This is sophisticated underground architecture. How did a society from at least 2,000 years ago possess the knowledge to plan and execute such a vast project without a single collapse? And why is there not a single character, drawing, or historical record, not even a whisper in any local text, that mentions this gargantuan effort spanning generations? The silence is as profound as the caves themselves. Were they a secret quarry for some unimaginable project, a hidden imperial tomb that was never used? Or perhaps a subterranean refuge for an entire population, a city kept secret from the world above? The Longyu Caves are a monument to a ghost project, a feat of engineering so vast it should have defined a dynasty, yet it left no name and no memory, only a silent, empty world of stone. From this hidden world of immense human effort, we are drawn to our final mystery, a place where the scale of the work is so grand it feels almost superhuman. The final structure on our list is a place where nature itself seems to have mimicked the grand designs of ancient engineers. The Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland presents a coastline of incredible geometric order, a sprawling pavement of over 40,000 interlocking basalt columns, most of them perfect hexagons. This is a natural wonder, formed by the cooling and fracturing of volcanic basalt around 60 million years ago, yet the precision of the polygons is so uncanny it feels deliberately crafted. The columns fit together with a seamless, jigsaw puzzle perfection that rivals the most sophisticated polygonal masonry created by human hands. It is easy to understand why ancient people looked upon this impossible landscape and saw the work of something more than geology. Irish legend speaks of the giant Finn McCool, who built this causeway as a stepping stone pathway across the sea to challenge a rival giant in Scotland. This was how our ancestors made sense of the inexplicable, weaving stories of superhuman strength to explain a world filled with formations that defied their understanding. This interplay between nature and human perception adds a profound, final layer to our journey. How many other natural wonders, with their perfect angles and colossal scales, inspired our ancestors to attempt their own monumental constructions? Did the builders of Sacsayhuaman or Puma Punku look upon the natural world and see a blueprint, a challenge to replicate nature's impossible precision with their own hands and tools? The Giant's Causeway stands as a powerful reminder that the line between the natural and the man-made can be beautifully and mysteriously blurred. It brings our exploration full circle, from the undeniable genius of human construction to the awe-inspiring patterns of the earth itself. As we reflect on these 20 unexplained structures, from the sun-drenched pyramids to this storm-lashed coast, a common thread emerges. It is not just a thread of lost technology or impossible engineering, but one of profound human ambition. Across continents and millennia, separated by culture and language, our ancestors shared a universal drive to build on a grand scale, to align their world with the heavens, and to leave a mark so permanent it would whisper to the future. They looked at a mountain and saw a temple. They studied the stars and built a calendar in stone. They moved weights that defy our own modern logic, and they did it with a sophistication we are still struggling to comprehend. The true mystery, then, may not be in the how, but in the why. What deep, fundamental impulse compelled humanity, time and again, to reach for the impossible? The stones remain, waiting for us to finally understand the question. These recurring patterns across the globe force us to confront a series of universal engineering puzzles. How did cultures separated by oceans and millennia all face the same fundamental challenge of moving mountains, literally? The transportation of multi-ton stones over vast distances appears again and again, from the bluestones of Wales journeying to Stonehenge to the andesite giants of Puma Punku hauled over 50 miles. Was the solution always a matter of immense coordinated human labor, thousands of people pulling on ropes guided by a shared, powerful vision? Or does the sheer scale of these logistical nightmares hint at a common, lost principle, perhaps a forgotten method for reducing friction or even manipulating weight itself? Then there is the puzzle of precision. We see it in the paper-thin seams between the stones at Sacsayhuaman, in the machine-like grooves of the blocks at Puma Punku, and in the perfect cardinal alignment of the Great Pyramid. This is not rough construction. This is a level of exactness that speaks of standardized measurement, sophisticated geometry, and an almost obsessive attention to detail. Did this knowledge arise from generations of patient trial and error, a slow accumulation of skill passed from master to apprentice, or was it the product of a sudden, revolutionary understanding, a leap in technical thinking that has since been misplaced by time? The celestial connection weaves through these sites like a golden thread. The solstice sun flooding the chamber at Newgrange, the precise solar alignments of the Mnajdra temples, the cosmic calendar etched into the sun gate of Tiwanaku. This was not a coincidence. It reveals a deep, driving need to anchor their world, their rituals, and their very sense of time to the reliable cycles of the heavens. The engineering was not just about moving stone, it was about capturing light, about building a bridge between the earth and the sky. This points to another common theme: advanced planning and social organization. The construction of the Carnac alignments or the Great Pyramid were projects that spanned generations. They required a stable society, a surplus of food, and a hierarchy of skilled laborers, from quarry workers and stonemasons to surveyors and astronomers. The very existence of these monuments is a testament to what human communities can achieve when united by a common purpose. They adapted brilliantly to their environments, using local materials from the coral rock of the coral castle to the limestone of the Hypogeum, and designing structures like the walls of Ollantaytambo to dance with earthquakes rather than resist them. Yet for all this brilliance, the most haunting commonality is the silence, the absence of written records, the lack of detailed blueprints or toolkits for the most ambitious projects. We have the finished, perfect product, but we are missing the instruction manual. This gap is where our imagination takes flight. Were these achievements the pinnacle of human ingenuity in their time, the result of gradual, accumulated knowledge we simply do not fully appreciate? Or do the impossible precision, the unimaginable weights, and the eerie acoustic properties point to something more? A lost technology or a forgotten understanding of the natural world's fundamental forces? The persistence of these mysteries is not a failure of our science, but an invitation. It is a call to keep questioning, to keep exploring, and to look at the silent, stoic stones of the ancient world with a sense of wonder, ready for the next clue that might finally help us hear the whispers of the past. Our journey through these 20 stone enigmas reveals a world where human ambition carved its mark into the very bones of the earth. From the pyramids to Puma Punku, each site is a testament to an ingenuity that refuses to be confined by our modern assumptions. These civilizations, separated by oceans and millennia, all faced the same monumental challenge: moving mountains of stone with a precision that still baffles our engineers. While we may never fully unravel the exact methods they used, the existence of these wonders challenges us to expand our understanding of history itself. Perhaps the writer Arthur C. Clarke put it best when he observed that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. The true lesson here is not that we have all the answers, but that the past holds profound secrets we have only just begun to uncover. What do you think is the most compelling explanation for these ancient marvels? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this journey through time and stone, be sure to subscribe for more explorations into the unknown. Thank you for watching.